Welcome to the Find My New Life podcast. I'm Christopher Lapine, spiritual liberation author and speaker. This podcast brings you inspiration, hope, and answers for how to live a modern, God-centered spiritual life. It will help you have a more direct, deeper experience of God, find more happiness, and live your incredible God-given destiny. You can find all my podcasts, as well as videos, books, and more at findmynewlife.com. So, let's get started with today's show. Hi, welcome. This is the Find My New Life podcast, and this is a new series called My Journey to a Better Jesus. And I'm extremely pleased to have with me today our guest, Tim Kerr. Tim Kerr has been on quite a journey over the decades, and he'll have a lot of great insights, and he's a very relatable guy. I think you'll really enjoy Tim. And I'll leave it to Tim to tell us a little bit, Tim, about who you are and what you do right now.
Well, Chris, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited as well to be here and to have a conversation with you and your community. I consider it a great honor. I'm happily retired from the real world. I'm on staff with the Wild Goose Festival. I deal mostly with our sponsors, a few other thing. When you're part of a small .org, you do way more than what your title says, and
Yes.
happy to do it. The Goose has been very foundational and instrumental in my and my wife's journey. So thrilled to be a part of that.
That's great. Okay, for those people who don't know what Wild Goose is, what is Wild Goose?
Well, how in the world do they not know what Wild Goose is? Just kidding, of course. The Wild Goose Festival is a very hard to describe. Varying folks have called it a hippie Christian festival or a Christian Woodstock or Burning Man. It's a 3-day festival that's was birthed and is held in North Carolina every year. Our tagline is spirit, justice, music, and art. And we do our best to facilitate a space for that to happen. It's a co-created festival. The majority of the participants and the people that you'd be involved with if you were there self-submit a proposal, whether it be for art, whether it be for music, whether it be for a podcast or speaking. And we get over 300 submissions every year. So it's an amazing event. It's outdoors,
Wow.
Which creates challenges of its own between weather and logistics and so on and so forth. But it's one of those things you have to sort of see it to believe it.
Yeah, I love the tagline. It's a hippie Christian festival, but it's wonderful. So Tim, thank you so much. And this is kind of giving you a preview of Tim's thinking and how progressive he is. Okay, so Tim, let's take the time machine back, and we're going to look at your journey to a better understanding and a better experience of Jesus. Can you tell me kind of the earliest things you were taught about Jesus and your earliest internal experience of Jesus?
Sure. Ironically, I was part of a group here. My wife and I, we live in Jacksonville, Florida, and a small faith community we have connection with. Just finished up about 2 weeks ago. We did a 6-week series on sort of a where do I go now for folks that either have deconstructed their faith or have been harmed by the church or religion. And we actually did a faith timeline as part of that thing. So the universe must have known that I would need to dig back into my past. But I was born in a very rural area. My mother, I was born and raised Southern Baptist. So my mother was the piano player at the little 100-person church and Sunday school teacher. So I was before memory. I was at Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. When the church doors was open, I was there and had um, an idyllic experience, as a child. I mean, it was the classic church ladies and potlucks and, the whole 9 yards there. Ironically, I'd say 14 or 15 years old, I was actually not ordained to preach, but licensed to preach. Southern Baptist, if you show any, I had as much, I could have been considered an astronaut. I would have been as capable of being as I look back now, but ironically, then at around 16, when I got a driver's license, I discovered booze and girls, and one thing led to another, and then that sort of separated that part of my faith journey till mid 20s, 25 or
Yeah,
so.
I guess it would. Hey, that's fun. I want to go back to, so what are the earliest essential things that you were taught about Jesus?
Um,
Early, or the earliest thing you can remember.
I have to say love. That it was love. Again, I was in a Southern Baptist context of
Hmm.
you were born a sinner. You've got to be saved. So that was obviously had the altar call early, probably 6 or 7 years old. Um, so that was probably the underlying theme, if you will, is that sort of I don't think you realize it when you're that age,
Mm.
6 to 10 years old, but that God loves you, but also God evidently hates you. If
That's not
you,
that's not confusing in any way,
no,
Tim.
no,
No,
God loves you unconditionally, but if you don't accept God, you're going to hell forever.
you're gonna burn.
Yeah, yeah,
So, okay, I want to explain the altar call to anybody who's listening today and they're not sure what it is. But the altar call is where the minister or the priest is holding a meeting, and there's usually praying that happens, and then after that, the minister will ask. It's more of, I'd say, a Southern Christian tradition, but
that's correct.
this minister will ask, "Is anyone ready to be saved and profess their faith in Jesus? That He is your personal Lord and Savior." That's usually what happens. And then if you are, you're invited to literally stand up in your seat, your chair, wherever you are, and walk. It's called the altar call, and go up. And oftentimes the pastor will lay hands on you and say a prayer, or you'll say something or along those lines. So you, 6 or 7 years old, you went through that experience. You believe that you are born with sin on your soul right out of the womb, that you're going to burn in hell unless you accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. So God loves me so much, He sent Jesus. But if I don't believe, I'm literally toast.
That's correct. Yeah, and
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand your experience,
you
Tim. So,
bingo, right, right
okay.
on the money. Yep, yeah.
All
And then
right.
of course,
That's fair. Keep.
then followed by a full immersion baptism. Not no sprinkling or whatever.
Okay.
It's yeah, yeah,
All right.
complete
Okay.
dunk.
And then we're into adolescence. We're discovering alcohol and girls and cars, I guess.
Oh
And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
what came out of that? What point?
The of course completely disassociated with any religious affiliation, which again broke my mother's heart. I mean, God rest her soul.
Hmm.
And I ended up at that point, uh, probably 19, I guess it was. I think it was 19. My father, uh, ironically, not to take up too much time,
No, that's okay.
the little small town we lived in, My father ran the tavern/country store, which was on our property. So my mom was, of course, the Southern Baptist Sunday school teacher, piano player, matriarch of the church. My dad was the local pub owner. So there's no need for psychoanalysts there. But,
Yeah.
I think at about
I'm sure you
19.
sampled some of the stock in the
Of course,
tavern.
of course, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, learned to
Yeah.
play
Okay.
pool. So I had kind of both sides. Um, the I think it was right around 19. My dad had the shape up or ship out talk, and I didn't really see any possibility of shaping up, so I shipped out. I had a friend who had left. He was a year or so older than me. Had signed up in the Navy and was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida. We have a huge naval presence here in
Hmm.
Jacksonville. At the time, I had no clue where that was or whatever. So I said, you know what, going to Florida sounds like an amazing thing. I did, and now however many 50 years later, I'm still here. Met my wife here, early 21, 22 years old, married. She was not raised in a religious home.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
we had our son. We had who's obviously now grown. Um, he was probably around two or so. The mom group that she hung out with, of course, you should come to church with us. Well, at the time, Jacksonville had, I can't get away from the Southern Baptist, one of
Yes.
the largest Southern Baptist churches in the Southern. Homer Lindsay,
That's
Jerry
uh,
Vines, they were
that's
part
pretty
of the,
large, then, isn't it?
it was a biggie, yeah. So she started going, you know, when they got
Hmm.
involved. I was still like, yeah, whatever. Well, of course, then, my son's in the Christmas play or in so next
Hmm.
thing you know, I'm back involved on the regular, but not sort of living a dual life, if you will. You go to
Hmm.
church, but not that I was, I wasn't a crime boss or anything, but the Southern Baptists, for the folks that don't know, are pretty dogmatic about, don't drink, don't smoke, don't go to the movies, don't dance. There's a lot of don'ts. And most of those don'ts
Right.
I still did. you know. So,
Hey, let me ask
so
you a question, Tim, just
yeah.
real quick here. Okay, so you you literally shipped out. You joined the Navy?
No, I did not join the
You
Navy.
didn't.
I,
Okay, all
I,
right.
I, I,
Okay.
I did not join the Navy. My friend was in the Navy.
Yes.
I was born and raised in very southern Illinois, very rural
Yes.
area, very
Okay.
southern.
Okay.
He was in the Navy, had come home at Thanksgiving, I guess on leave, and hey, I'm stationed in Jacksonville. If you ever down that way, okay. Well, I didn't know where
Okay.
Jacksonville was. Looked at this was like 1979, so there was no Google. Got the map
Okay.
out, come up, and I think
Okay.
it was February of the year. It was cold. I'm like, Florida sounds like a place I should be,
Sounds good.
um, and ended up. He was a lifeline. I found him. He was on the USS Forrestal, an aircraft carrier that had more people on that aircraft carrier than were in a 50-mile radius of where we grew up. I just assumed I'd drive up in the parking lot and everybody'd know my friend Kenny. So,
Okay.
but
But not
but
quite that way,
by the
huh?
grace of by the grace of God, after about 2 weeks, I did finally catch up with him. I was able to stay with him till I got on my feet, got a job, and one thing
Yeah.
led to another. And so here we are.
So
And
here's
then
my
like,
question. Here's my
sure,
question. So you left the church a while back, and basically your community at about this time you shipped out. But what
yes.
were your spiritual beliefs? Did you still believe that you had to accept Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior? That God has tremendous love, but God can just inflict
Absolutely,
eternal punishment. So
absolutely,
you had
yeah,
okay. So you held on to your core beliefs. So now I'm going forward in time. Now you're right. You met this great woman and
yes,
now you're going to church again. So what's
yes.
going on in your head? as far as
Uh,
beliefs?
Still believe in all those things. Not, going on Tuesday night visitation. Not,
Hmm.
but not. There was cognitive dissonance. That I don't.
Okay.
Why am I bothering people on a Tuesday night to ask them if you died tonight, do you know where your soul would go? The typical evangelical
Okay.
thing.
So you
Um,
are, I'm just explaining a little. So you're going door to door,
well,
right?
yes,
Talking to
yeah.
people, or maybe you go to a public place, right? And you're just engaging people as they go on.
Yeah, well, yeah. The way First Baptist, like I say again, was one of the early mega churches. First Baptist Jacks was one of the early mega churches.
Hmm.
So you were sort of grouped by your zip codes. That way you would have people in your Sunday school class that were maybe from the part of town. Jacksonville's a very
Okay.
spread out
Mm.
megapolis. And so on visitation, Tuesday night visitation, we would all meet up at a Shoney's or something, and we had our people that I guess had visited the church or whatever that were in a semblance of our community, But yeah, you would literally just go knock on the door, and if they answered, give them you had a script. You're door to door salesman,
Yeah. Right.
and
Right. Okay. You're going out two and two. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and
Okay.
it's
So you got some.
absolutely horrific. Do not recommend it.
I'll take your word for it, Tim. All right. So
Yes.
you've got some cognitive dissonance. You're a little uncomfortable with maybe the message or what you're doing. Tell me why. What's going through your head at that time?
Well, my wife really brought it to head is where we were living two different lives. We had our friend group that
Hmm.
was in our neighborhood or this or that other thing, and then we had our church friends, and never the twain shall meet. You were just living two different uh, lifestyles. Our friends from like our son was playing sports or whatever. We had those
Hmm.
friend groups, and we
Right.
we we attended a lot of sporting events, and this and that. So we had those friend groups, and but then your church people, and it was just, she's like, I really wish our lives could be
Mm.
seamless. But they couldn't be because a lot of our friends were, wonderful people, pillars of the community, but they enjoyed a cocktail with their dinner or whatever, and that was just heaven forbid. That was persona non. You just
That's
couldn't do
bad.
that,
That's very
and
bad.
so
Yeah.
so we, yeah, right. So we could just never. There was just it was a disconnect. It was just never. Um, we went there and then we left there,
Mm.
back. So
Mm.
you almost take off one jacket and put on
Oh,
another.
okay. That's interesting. So how did this affect your experience of Jesus? So you were taught these things and you're not quite comfortable with what you're doing in your ministry. What's your experience of Jesus like right now? Aside
Right
from,
now,
no, I'm
or
sorry,
at
forgive me.
at
At
that
that
time.
point in time, yeah, aside from the church, what's your personal experience with Jesus, or what was it like at that time?
Forced at best, not realistic. Um, just kind of the go through the motions thing. Um, Probably because it was so ingrained in me from a young age on. It was probably more of a, this
Mm.
is just what you do. There really was, honestly, I'd have to say there was no relationship. It's almost believing in Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny kind of a thing. But it's just, this is the routine that you're expected to
Oh,
do.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
you're going, okay, so essentially you're looking for your experience of Jesus within the activities that you're doing with other people at the church, right? Whether it's
yeah, and I got to be honest
or
with you. I probably wasn't really. I don't
mm,
know that I ever was quote unquote looking for a relationship
mm,
with a Jesus or a deity or anything.
interesting. Okay.
I don't. I can't. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I don't. I think I was just doing things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
That'd be
okay.
the most honest way I could state that.
Well, that's pretty profound. I think a lot of people have experienced that we
Yeah.
just oh, we're doing these things, we believe these things, and that's it.
Basically, yes, this is what people like us do, and this is what people like
Hmm.
us believe, and
So it's more
and it's more.
cultural than anything, huh?
That's right. It's
Yeah.
that I believe that you're sitting there in a chair. Okay, yeah. So here we are. Yeah, and that and at the end of the day, that doesn't mount up to a lot. So
No, yeah. How did that, and I'm going to say it's a gap or a need, you weren't really experiencing Jesus, the strength of Jesus. How did that affect your life, would you say?
Uh, honestly, I don't know that it did or didn't. I mean, life went on. You just
Hmm.
the I didn't feel like I had this great longing that oh my God,
Hmm.
I'm unique. In that it was not this profound uh,
Hmm.
longing there, anything like that. There was no.
Ah,
I'm
okay.
to not to plagiarize YouTube, but I'm still haven't found what I'm looking for. I didn't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
that, to be honest with you. I really
Yeah,
wasn't there.
okay. Yeah, life was fine and you're,
Life was life. Yeah, you just plug it.
yeah,
This was
okay.
yeah.
So
Um,
how about, I'm sorry, Tim, go ahead. I know we've got a little delay in the line, but go ahead. Yeah.
that's okay, and that's from say. Hopefully, you can edit some of this. So my time at as from a infant to 15. At the time when I left it, I hated it. That was terrible. But I look back now, that was foundational. There were I
Hmm.
still have wonderful memories
Mm.
from there. After you're
Hmm.
away from it, obviously, uh, wonderful memories of just saints. That the lady that was my Sunday school teacher was just a just a amazing human being. Our time at the First Baptist here in Jacksonville, the mega church. Uh, I would never. They've fallen on hard times, ironically, believe it or not. But
Mm.
I would never go back. Not as in screw those people, I hate them. But
Right.
but the time that we were there, there's some foundational stuff from there that I have. So I have uh, again cognitive dissonance maybe, but yeah. So we get ready to move to the next stage. I'll take your direction on where we need to go next.
Yeah,
I can keep this story going. Yeah.
it sounds like generally you had some pretty positive experiences, your mother with the music and just the community and the support and, a common mission.
Right.
And how about now you're going forward in life? When did things start to change a little bit spiritually and why?
So the next step, we were fully ensconced at First Baptist. My wife was a Sunday school teacher. I was involved in the men's ministry and blah blah blah. Um, some a family friend of hers was involved at a PCUSA Presbyterian church here, literally in our neighborhood, and invited us to a Good Friday service. Now, at the time, most Baptist churches now are doing Good Friday services and
Hmm.
this and that. Back in the day, that didn't happen. Easter Sunday was the big day, but there was really almost
Mm.
no, there seemed to be no mention of the Holy Week, whether it be Maundy, Thursday, or the Good Friday. So all that to say, our friend invited us to they call it a service of darkness, and it was just a very profound service. We go
Mm.
as the different folks are reading the last seven words of Christ. The lights are slowly dimming. Uh, by the time the service is over, it's completely dark. We all have a candle. There's a wooden cross at the altar. There's no altar call in a
Hmm.
Presbyterian church, but
Right.
you were given a
Yes.
nail as you walked in, and who knows what the nail's for? Well, at the end, just come on and nail in the cross, So there's this utter darkness and the pounding. It's like, holy cow. We literally never went back to First Baptist. That Sunday morning, they partner with an
Mm.
Episcopal church and a Methodist
Hmm.
church and do a sunrise
Right.
service on the St. John's River. We went to that, and again, like I said, we weren't unhappy at the Baptist church. We just didn't realize we weren't happy there. And
Yeah.
so the
You wanted
Presbyterian,
more, huh?
well, and we didn't know that we wanted more. That's kind of what I'm saying is
Right.
we weren't like, oh, this, we were, thought we were pig in the slop, it's just fine. So we
Yeah.
ended up, okay, we're part of this church now. And it was the truly the most foundational for both my wife and I in the spirituality that we now have. We completely plugged in there. Our
Can I
friends
pause you for
there.
a second, Tim?
Yes, please.
Yeah, the reason I'm pausing, so I want to, for those folks who are not Christians or
Yes.
familiar with the Christian story, so Jesus, right, Christians believe he is our Son of God
Hmm.
and that he lived a human divine life, and that over time, with his preaching, the authorities did not like what he was doing,
Correct.
and especially when he threatened their commerce in the temple. But he came in. It's known as Holy Week. He came into the city riding on a donkey, and they laid palms down for him. And throughout the week, he had encounters with the religious authorities and the people at the temple in Jerusalem. And by Thursday, they had arrested him. And then on Friday, they executed him through crucifixion. So that's where the cross comes in, so forth. Okay. So
Correct. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll leave
And
it at I
I
will. No, that's no
I
problem at all,
appreciate
Tim.
you. That's why you lose sight of folks,
No, that's okay.
that aren't
Everybody's
immersed.
welcome.
Yeah.
So yeah. So continue. So you didn't know that you were looking for more, but you
Right.
started to go through
So
this
so we
transformation here.
we became enmeshed in this group of people, and 3 or 4 years in, my wife literally said, I had wished that our church friends, with air quotes, could be our regular friends, and they were. We became
Mm.
our small group of folks that we really connected with. Became we I hate the phrase "do life together," but we went out to dinner together. We recreational things, whatever, go out on the boat together. Our life was no longer compartmentalized. We were part
Mm.
of it. Uh,
That sounds healthy.
it was a very, very wonderful
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
The pastor at the time had a 20-year tenure there. Incredible, incredibly good person, highly educated, which a lot of Presbyterians, Episcopalians, that's their world.
Hmm.
They you know, are keen on that, and I think it's wise. Anyhow, I he had a very strong ministry to men in the community. So you would go to a business or whatever, and if the conversation come up, St. John's Presbyterian,
Hmm.
oh, Ron Smith. Ron spent more time in the
Mm.
community, not evangelizing people, but just, I'm here if you need me,
Yeah. It's a
and
different, yeah, completely different approach, isn't
yes,
it?
yes. So as time went on, the uh, structure in the Presbyterian Church, elders are like your ruling body, if you will,
Mm.
and you get elected to be an elder, and I did. And Ron, the pastor, had almost a doctoral program. If you were going to be an elder, you had to a stack of books on the St. John of the Cross, all
Mm.
these desert fathers and
You had to
mothers.
be
It,
very, very educated. I do have a question for you, Tim.
please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I love your story. So you start off, right? Basic Southern Baptist,
Yeah,
very involved, completely enmeshed in the community, extremely active, but not necessarily having a relationship with Jesus. And you just believe what you believe. It's more cultural. And now you go to this new church and you didn't know that you needed it, but now you're discovering that it's a better experience. And indeed, you join the church and now you're a leader in this church at this
right,
time.
right.
But how has your Tell me about your relationship with Jesus from the beginning to this point when now you're an elder in this church leading people. Is something changing at this point?
Probably, and that's where, so
Hmm.
the elder
Yeah.
training was a big part of that. So you got, I think we had 8 or 10 books,
Mm.
Teresa of Avila, all these people I'd never heard of, never knew, that were throughout the decades, throughout the
Mm.
centuries,
Yeah. Augustine, all of it. Yeah.
everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so you would have elder training with Ron, the senior pastor. You would get 4 new elders that would come in every year. You had like a class of elders,
Hmm.
and 4 would go off.
Right.
So you had to take that training. If you had served as an elder previously, you didn't have to retake the training. So this particular class of elders, the other 3 had all served as elders before. So I was the only newbie
Okay.
that had to take this, like, I think it was a 12-week training
Mm.
with the senior pastor. So it was me and him. I couldn't hide. So I was up at 4 o'clock in the
Yep.
morning reading. I mean, like I say, it was just total immersion in some of the saints of the church and the
Some of
history.
the best ways to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that really changed the whole dynamic for me as to, wow, there's a whole bigger world of theology out here. A whole people have not always thought the same things that we thought.
Hmm.
So which created that rabbit hole of let me dig deeper. Let me dig deeper. So
Hmm.
my wife
Yeah.
is way more spiritual than me.
Hmm.
I'm more in the head. So I was still, like you say, um, it, it gave me the freedom to look at the Bible, not as
Hmm.
this, oh my God, it's, whatever it says, that's just, you can't even question it or whatever.
That's right.
It gave me the freedom to say, oh my goodness, people have been, for millennia, people have been asking these same questions of why am I here? Why does this happen?
Hmm.
How do we interact with
Right.
this greater being, and so on and so forth. So that was a huge shift.
That is a big shift, and I was just thinking that, so I'm just trying to learn from you. So the first thing was, I had a very nurturing, loving community, and now you move into the new community. But what was one of the interesting thing is that you really socialized, it seemed, outside of the church experience with them,
Right.
in that maybe it was more spontaneous, more natural. And the other thing was, it seems like this experience, the other key to help you was that there was a searching, there was an open mindedness to explore new things, new thinkers, rather than saying, this book is it. I have to adhere to all of the thoughts, all the conclusions, and
Right.
what I'm being told to do. Now you're in an environment of, I would call it truth seeking,
You're
and
challenged. That's correct.
exploration.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're actually you're challenged.
mm,
I won't go as far as say required to think for
right.
yourself, but uh, to question and to search and dig deeper. So which to me was like manna from heaven. It was like, oh my goodness, okay, good.
What did it feel like? What
Yeah.
what did that feel like? That shift for you?
It was. I tell people all the time now, and there's more to this story after the fact from there that we'll get to. But
Sure.
I now, when I say I believe the Bible, I now revere the Bible more than I ever did, because I
Mm,
realize what an amazing thing it is to have this collection of stories and poems uh,
hmm
and so on and so forth that has been put together over longer than 2,000 years. Um, and these ancient people have wrestled with the same things that we wrestle with, and that we have the beauty
hmm
of having that available to us, and that I love the uncertainties, I guess. Yeah, what Pete Enns, what's one of his books is The Sin of Certainty. I don't know if you know Peter Enns or not. He's
I am not familiar with Peter.
okay.
No.
Yeah, Enns. Pete's fun. He's hilarious. He's a Bible professor, I think at Eastern, where Tony Campolo. I believe he's at Eastern. But anyhow,
Okay.
one of his books is called The Sin of Certainty, and I
So is
think
that I'm guessing that what that means is that you are so certain you become fundamentalist and closed-minded,
correct.
potentially?
Yeah, and
Okay.
the majority, in my opinion, of the evangelical world, that's the message it preaches. It, like
Right.
you said, again, we went out on Tuesday night. If you die tonight, do you know if you're going to heaven? So what we're telling you is we got the answer to that for you. If you say these
Right.
words, you can be certain you're going to heaven. And now it's like you're like, well, number one, can we be certain there is a heaven? But and I don't want to sound sacrilegious or whatever, but
No, it's
the
okay. It's questioning. Yeah.
yeah, so I was allowed the freedom to say, and as you started in the scholarship, you realize there's people that have just a myriad of ideas and that may be different than that you were thought
Hmm.
that was this is the only way and this is the way everybody's thought since Adam walked out of the garden.
Right.
And it's like, oh, so
That sounds
there's
refreshing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, that there's
So I think, hopefully a lot of people who are listening to the podcast are at a similar point in their lives where they're starting to question. You're looking for more. I'm guessing that if you're watching this right now, you're looking for more in some way. And thanks for continuing with the conversation with Tim, which is just it's great pleasure. So, all right, you're going. When was the next point of change for you?
so the next point of change was the senior pastor got to the point of retirement. So we went. The Presbyterian Church
Hmm.
has their polity is we had a wonderful associate pastor, young lady that grew up in the church there, but the associate pastor cannot assume the position of the senior pastor at that church. Uh, Actually, not a bad idea. That way they can't undermine, if they wanted to undermine the
Hmm.
senior pastor and take his or her job.
Right.
So we went through a 2-year period of discernment of I'm trying to think what they call the pastors that temporary pastors design by design. That's not the
Hmm.
proper word. There's a
Okay.
official word for it. One of those that we still don't understand how it got in the door was uber progressive. An older gentleman, Paris Jones, who we're still friends with, lives down in St. Augustine. Uh, how he made it through the search committee to be one of our temporary fill-in pastors, but he took that journey even further for myself and my wife. He was summarily
Hmm.
released because of his uber progressivism. He was even more. Uh,
He was invited to leave, right?
he was
Yeah.
invited to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and but some of the doors he opened, even broader for us, was huge. The pastor that was hired to be the full-time pastor was okay, but the church went in a direction the that we just couldn't stand with. The
Mm. Okay.
gay marriage was being legalized, which we have an amazing group of friends who are gay,
Hmm.
LGBTQI, and the PCUSA decided at this point, I guess it was in, I forget what year, 2015, let's say, something like that, maybe a little later, that what I thought was a wonderful idea is that if you want to call a pastor who is gay to lead your church, and I'm just using gay to,
Hmm.
across the
Sure.
board there,
Hmm.
um, that's perfectly fine. If you don't want to call a pastor who is gay to your church, that's also fine. If gay marriage is legal in your state, and you want to perform a gay marriage in your church, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. I thought it was a really nice middle of the road scenario. I was not on the elder board was called the session. I was not on session at the time. Back to Holy Week, the week of leading up to Jesus's execution by the state at the request of the religious authorities, is how we can put it.
Right. Good Friday. Yep.
Yeah, Good
Yep.
Friday for, I'm not sure who it was good for.
Right. Maybe it's Bad Friday. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Jesus is like, good about what there? The week of Holy Week, on Wednesday of Holy Week, we get a letter from the church, the official letter, that this is a bridge too far. We're leaving the denomination. And at the time, we were still fully entrenched in the church, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Okay.
So that next morning, I'm in the pastor's office. I mean, we're friends. I'm literally in his office with the letter, like, what the F? I mean, number one, could this not have waited till next week? I mean, I literally, anybody on the mailing list gets this letter about we're going to leave the denomination on the holiest week in the Christian calendar. I'm like, John, his name is John.
A bit of a distraction.
John, right. I was like, I'm
Right.
not, you need, this is tone deaf. I said, I disagree with the move, but I said, that's not what I'm here about. I'm like, how could this happen? So obviously there were enough powers that be in the room that this was going to happen. So I'm like, well, okay, all right, we're out, So that was a painful break. But my wife still grieves. She was completely involved with the children's ministry.
Right.
Her thought was maybe we could stay and try to change. And I'm like, I knew I'd been in the room where the sausage is made. I said, I know the people, the players that are involved in this. They're powerful
It's
men.
not changing. Yeah.
There's no change, right? I said, it's not happening. So that put us on another journey that, again, we've been fortunate. All the journeys have been amazing. The pastor that was there, we didn't leave immediately. It was within a 2-year window that was like, okay, this is not going to work. He was on a short sabbatical, not a sabbatical really, but on a group out of Atlanta. It was like the Lilly Foundation, but it wasn't Lilly. Sent a cohort of pastors to the Holy Land, over to Israel and Palestine. And he was on it. So there were updates. And I would, of course, one of the updates, there was a female pastor from Jacksonville, Florida that was on it. I'm like, oh, cool. Let me check her out. Well, she, very progressive, had a kind of probably at that time, a 5-year church plant in Springfield, which is a historic district in Jacksonville, just north of the downtown, that had fallen on hard times as being gentrified. So I'm like, let me find out more about this. Well, that became our new church home, and it still is. I mean, Susan did my wife's mother's funeral, so on and so forth. They have met. I think just past the 15-year mark, and are a vibrant congregation, but they've never owned a facility and don't have plans to it. They've met in a
It's a home church.
They met in a craft brewery. They now meet.
Okay.
There's in this Springfield area has 3 different community gardens. This fellow that takes care of. They meet in the gardens if the weather permits. Meet at the beach. So it's very, very eclectic community that has allowed us to be a part of it. We hardly ever go to quote unquote church. I lead a Thursday morning midday book study that's based out of that church. It's the Well at Springfield. I lead a Thursday morning at a coffee shop study. We go to various events. I'm retired, but my wife still works with the school system here in town. And on the weekends, she doesn't want to get up and get out of her jammies. So we don't quote unquote go to church,
So
but
this is your current faith community.
that's our
This is
faith
where you
community.
are.
And and as silly as it sounds, we're more plugged in, more a part
Hmm.
of it, and so Susan, the pastor there, has created this space for the people like you're engaging on your podcast, that people, uh, one of the stalwarts, a lady that's a big part of the community, is
Hmm.
a avowed atheist, but she's completely entwined with it because she's allowed to be there. That so it's sort of
Wow,
a
that
way
is
state.
very,
Yeah, yeah.
very, very eclectic. Tim, I have a question for you. So
Please, because I'll
you've
ramble.
gone. No, this is good. It's your story. So you started off right, very traditional upbringing, almost completely pre-programmed. You come out of that, and you get to a church where there's actually inquiry and questioning, and
Right,
you're starting to enjoy thinking for yourself, as it were, and the uncertainty of it, kind of the joy of the uncertainty of it. Trusting God, and then now you left that after it wasn't particularly progressive. So now
right.
you're in a good home. What is your experience of Jesus like now?
Um, Deeper and wider, and I think, well, ironically, one of the what is it when you're leaving church? They get the benediction or whatever that
Hmm.
the initial pastor
Right.
Presbyterian. I can't remember where the scripture. It's New Testament, but exceedingly abundantly above and beyond all we could ever hope or ask for. It's that um, because I'm comfortable. Again, another, what is it? I believe, help my unbelief. So I can be
Hmm.
as I can be as all in as I want, or I can be as doubtful as I want. Um, I can. So again, losing my words there, but the deeper and wider than it's ever been. But a lot of people would say I'm a heretic, So to the outside eye,
Hmm.
they like, this guy doesn't believe in anything. He just, and we're our book club that we're doing right now. We're doing a book by Barbara Brown Taylor. It's called Holy
Hmm.
Envy:
Hmm.
Finding God in the Faith of Others, and it's her journey as a well, she's an Episcopal priest, but she was spent time as a world religion teacher at a small liberal arts college, and it's her journey through how her faith deepened by
Mm.
engaging with and with Islam, Judaism, Hinduism,
Yeah.
and so I see there's no more fear, that it's like, oh my God, I can't, if I question that, I'm
You're
going
in
back,
trouble.
I'm back to hell, I'm back to hell. And
So is
if
it
I,
more of the love? I mean, you talked about the
yeah,
dichotomy of the love and the punishment. Is it more on the
that
love side? Is that
more,
where we're
yeah,
at,
yeah.
Tim?
Yeah, I love there's as a quote, and I can't pull it up now, but the more we study the universe, the harmonics, the
Hmm.
music theory, everything needs to find its that a beautiful note has resonates, but it also resolves. And I feel like that in the universe there's that harmony that that we that may be the thing where when you say we're searching or whatever, is
Hmm.
we're looking for that harmonious note. We're looking for that resolution to the full circle. And I feel like I'm there now. And I granted that this journey has, as we've talked about my journey, I never think I've arrived. I'm a
No,
continuing.
it's eternal.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
One of Brian McLaren's devotionals or whatever is we make the road by walking. The path goes on
Hmm.
forever. Um, but I feel more in tune now that oh, okay,
Hmm.
this is this is the beautiful Jewish word shalom. That peace that passes all
Hmm.
understanding. That okay, this is where we are, and I don't know, that there's a magic formula to give somebody that's either struggling with,
Hmm.
their faith or their this or that. It's I wish I had again, that's back to the sin of certainty. I wish I could give you a formula, yeah, but
Okay, so I'm still going to ask you this question though.
please.
What lessons have you learned which you think will be helpful to people on a spiritual path or seeking someone? Think of someone who didn't have the best experience of Jesus, or it was disconnected, or they had a bad church experience. But now, what what would you suggest for them to help them grow in the uncertainty of the search,
Sure.
the uncertainty beyond what they were brought up with?
Well, so number one, trust your instincts, I think, most importantly. Um, and number two, don't trust anyone who tells you not to trust your instincts or who tells you they
Hmm.
have a definitive
Ah,
this
okay.
is the answer. I'm guard yourself, because there's literally wolves in sheep's clothing out there.
There are.
So guard yourself. Number one, read, read, read. I'm sure you probably have books that you recommend and this and that, um,
Hmm.
and do not fear. Like you say, which is hard to tell somebody that has been indoctrinated or ingrained into the fear slash
Right.
control. Um, you're loved of God. And if you're not ready for the journey now, don't take the journey. It's okay. Just live your life. Be a good person. Smell
God's
the
going to love you either way.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Yeah, smell
Yeah.
the flowers. And enjoy a good meal. Enjoy a good cup of coffee. Love. Find someone that if you have someone you love them even harder. Jesus said they'll know you're my disciples by your love. So uh, and
Yeah.
what he
Fruits of the
said.
Spirit.
That's right. Love your neighbor as yourself. So um, do that, and I think that will solve all your. Again, here I am. It won't solve all your problems. So, know that, like, I think Buddhism kind of has the thing of
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
living in the moment, and that this is life. Good things are going to happen, bad things are going to happen. So, it probably that too. If somebody's promising everything will be rosy and this and that, that's a lie. Because it's
Yeah.
the guy that we're talking about following. They literally nailed him to a piece of wood. So it didn't.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of a guarantee if you follow those teachings, you're going to get into trouble. You're
It,
going to
it,
get
it,
challenged.
it
You're going to grow. But yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I say it again, because if you challenge authority, if you seek justice for the least of these, which Jesus tells us, that's, when did we see you thirsty or hungry or in prison when you saw the least of these. So if we, who was one of the South American priests or whatever that said, when I feed the hungry, they call me a saint, but when I ask why there are so many hungry people, they call me a communist, or whatever. So when
Hmm.
when you when
Right.
you try to start loving the least of these and advocate for them, you will be called woke. You'll be called,
Hmm.
uh, you know, lots of things.
Yeah. By the
And
powers that be.
that
Absolutely. Yeah.
ironically, that was the last book we did in our book study by Walter Wink, The Powers That Be, and it's an
Hmm.
oldie but a goodie, and it really opens your eyes to um, the things that have always been going on. I mean, um, the Pilate didn't want, who Pilate's the Roman person that signed off on executing Jesus. I mean, that's what Rome did. They killed people. I mean, that was there was two other guys famously hanging on either side of Jesus. The Pax Romana, they kept the peace by if you caused any disturbance, they just killed you. So now it's peaceful again, right? so
Right. That's right. Tim, do you have any other advice for people who want to have a better experience of Jesus?
I think continue searching. Don't keep digging, but like I say, most importantly, guard yourself. If right now, if the Bible is toxic to you, don't force yourself to read the Bible. If church is toxic to you, don't do that. But just continue. Like I said, there's all kinds of stuff, to read. People that have taken this journey before you. They can reach out to me. I'll give them a list. They can come to the Wild Goose Festival. You will have Wild
I'm
Goose.
sure it's an amazing event this year.
Yeah, wildgoosefestival.org. You can go on and you can see the people that have, the people that have been there before, and there's a whole YouTube channel of amazing people that are doing incredible work in their communities. You're the people that you may be trying to get away from will tell you that's that's just feel good works or whatever. And like, yeah, well, if my neighbor's hungry, and all I do is pray for him, my neighbor's still hungry. I need to do both. So maybe that just, find a neighbor, whether it's an older person that doesn't have any family or a young family that's struggling to make ends meet. Find them and be the hands of good, and you'll be amazed at how much spirituality will come out of that. And your neighbors will get fed. So yay!
Everybody wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tim, it's been an absolute delight to have you here, and I'm trying to take some lessons learned from you, kind of summing up for everybody, and it's basically trust your inner guidance from God.
Yes.
There is a Spirit of God that lives within you and was put there to guide you and help you on this journey, and that's where your first loyalty is, not to any human being or institution or church. Just go forward, live in the uncertainty. God's there with you, and serve other people and explore, search for the truth, and you will get closer to God. You will get closer to Jesus and be on that eternal journey.
Yep.
And go to wildgoose.org.
Yes, that's right.
And check it out. I haven't attended, but
well, that's what I
sounds like an amazing thing.
We welcome any and all, and it's a wonderful time. Chris, thank you again. This has been a wonderful break in the day, and I look forward to spending more time with you.
Absolutely, Tim, and everybody, thanks for coming on the Find My New Life podcast in this new series, My Journey to a Better Jesus. I wish you the best, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening today. I hope it helped you on your journey. Go to findmynewlife.com for all my podcasts and much more. If you'd like to contact me with ideas or requests, use the Contact Me link on that website. I wish you the best on your spiritual journey. Remember, you are a child of God and we are family. You could claim an amazing destiny. See you next time.